My husband Jaden, 26, loves jokes and pranks and stuff. I'm not one for them and find most of them dumb, but our daughter Lucy, kindergartner, loves them. They do a bunch of stupid pranks on each other, and to be fair, Jaden does keep it harmless. Last month we got some realistic looking spider toys and other decorations. Since we got them, Jaden and Lucy have taken turns putting them around the house to scare each other, or me. I honestly find it annoying, but the two of them love it. Lucy does usually get scared, but when she realizes what it is, she laughs and finds it funny, or tells her dad off. It's actually adorable when she tells him off though. Jaden pretends he's scared even when she gives it away beforehand by giggling and watching him. So about 2 weeks ago, Jaden set it to fall on her when she opened her toy box in the playroom. Unfortunately, Lucy didn't open it, and apparently he had forgotten it. Later that week, we had my family over, including my brother Leon and my nieces, Tara, toddler, and Zoe, young child, over. Zoe was badly bitten by a spider when she was younger and even had to go to the hospital. Since then, she's been deathly afraid of them. I would go so far as to call it a phobia. The kids went to play and the spiders fell on them. Zoe completely freaked out and just melted down. We came down and saw what had happened. Jaden did apologize and tried to cheer her up, but Leon was furious. He basically accused us of doing it on purpose, saying that we should know better and just calling us idiots. We apologized and explained that it wasn't meant for Zoe, but my brother didn't listen to him. Leon left early with my sister-in-law and nieces, and the whole night was kind of ruined. I've tried to talk to him after, but Leon is still angry with us. It's been a week and he's still acting like we tried to murder Zoe. I've tried explaining again that it was an accident and a mistake, but he basically thinks it's too convenient a mistake, and that if it is, Jaden's still an idiot for being so immature, and I'm an idiot for defending him. So now he refuses to see us unless Jaden is banned, which is ridiculous. I do feel bad that it went so wrong, and I understand that it was a horrible mistake, but it wasn't meant to happen. It was meant to be for Lucy, who likes these stupid pranks. I think Leon is overreacting, and he thinks I just don't care about my niece. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Wait, he wants you to ban your husband from your house? How's that supposed to work? Hubby leaves the house whenever brother visits? He needs to get over himself. You have apologized. Let him be. When he gets his head out of his butt, he may come around. But until then, don't keep running up behind him, trying to make him forgive you. You said your piece. The next move is his. You are the idiot. So is your husband. Has your husband attempted a genuine, legitimate apology? Like going out of his way to contact your brother's family and speaking like adults and owning up to his screw-up? Because there are mistakes, and there are screw-ups, like scaring a toddler with a phobia. Or has he just tried to have you bend it back into shape because he's your brother and he should just have some sense of humor? It sounds like Jaden's always doing these pranks. Maybe everyone has been low-key annoyed for a long time, and this was the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back. Reading your story, it does give me pause that your daughter's telling him off and you're just laughing and calling it cute. Does she really enjoy this, or is it something she's more or less forced into? People who are obsessed with pranks, like your husband, are exhausting. It sounds like your brother is sick of starring in a Jack A rerun every time he visits. So it's a pretty natural consequence that more and more people are going to distance themselves from you because of this. You are not the idiot for this specific incident, but you're kind of an idiot for making annoying pranks such a big part of your family identity. I'm 29 and my husband is 34. We have an infant daughter. I want to become a veggie mainly for environmental reasons. I've been considering doing this for some time, as meat production has a hugely negative effect. Having our daughters made me a bit more eco-conscious, as I'm afraid of the world she'll live in the future. I've been trying to reduce the meat in my diet for some time. My husband doesn't want to do this and complains whenever I cook a meatless meal. I am a stay-at-home mom and cook almost all of our meals. I've told him that I don't want to cook meat anymore, and that if he wants to eat it, he can cook it himself, and that he's lucky I'm cooking for him every day, whatever I cook. However, he says I should also at least cook meat and add this to the meal for him. He says I can't force him to change his diet and eat less meat, but I say that I'm not, as he can still cook meat for himself. He says it's unfair on him to force this major lifestyle change on him, and he thinks I'm being hypocritical and petty, not cooking meat anymore when I've eaten it all my life. He thinks it's silly for me to not cook meat for him if he's going to do it later, as I'm just saving him from cooking meat, and the amount of meat cooked will be the same. So he thinks the only result in this is me not doing something nice for him. But I think that doing that would be a massive inconvenience for me, and also it defeats the purpose of me becoming a veggie in the first place. So I do understand his point of view. He also is unhappy that I plan to cook veggie meals for our daughter, and thinks that it's unfair to force her into being a vegetarian. But again, I don't think that I am, as I don't plan on stopping her from eating meat in school, etc. What do you think about this? You are the idiot. You're the stay-at-home parent and you cook most of the meals. That's the setup that you and your husband have agreed to. So suddenly telling him he needs to cook his meals or go vegetarian is not reasonable. You're either passing off a duty that you used to do, cooking his meals, onto him without any discussion, or making him a vegetarian with you. You should care about him as much as you care about the earth. And your daughter has two parents. Both of you should have a say in the diet and mentality she's raised with. So raising your daughter vegetarian isn't your decision alone, and is entirely unfair to your daughter. What if your husband says, I make all the money, don't buy any food I don't approve of, or do you think he would be an idiot in that situation? Not the idiot. This is a division of labor problems and problem of compromise. It can only be decided if we know 100% of how you and your husband contribute to the relationship. However, you should 100% be able to not cook meat. I would still buy it for him. Maybe this means you do some chore of his as a trade, but is he even doing anything besides working? So far, your husband is an idiot for insisting on meat meals and acting like a baby when he sees some veggies, instead of appreciating a warm meal on the table for him. Agreed. He's not going to become sick of not eating less meat. Quite the opposite. He's not allergic to vegetarian food. He can still buy himself meat and eat anything he wants. You're also not his maid, OP. Why do his wants come on top of yours? My ex and I, 44 female, divorced when our daughters, Stacy, nearly adult, and Emily, teen, were young. About a year after the divorce, he passed away. My ex was paying child support, but that stopped the day he died. The girls inherited their father's estate, but it wasn't much since he was fresh into his career. As a single mother, things could have been rough, but his brother stepped into his shoes. They took the girls on weekends and bought the girls anything they needed, from clothing to school supplies, and bought our groceries. They also indulged the girls' every whim. Stacy loved the horses when she was little, so Uncle John paid for her lessons and riding fees. Emily thought she wanted to play the piano, so Uncle Jeff paid for her lessons and bought her a piano. When the girls grew out of those phases and got interested in something else, their uncles were there, ready to indulge them. I tried talking to the uncles about not spoiling my girls, but they said that their nieces needed to explore their own interest, and those explorations would help their brain development. I disagreed, but I wasn't in a financial position to push too hard because they were paying so much for the girls. I was basically only responsible for the rent. I later remarried a wonderful man who brought 2 kids into the family. We have 1 more kid together, and things are good for the most part. However, kids are smart, so my daughter's step and half siblings started to notice their sisters having more experiences in things than they did. My husband didn't like the situation, and we argued about it over the years. Things came to a boiling point recently when we discussed how to pay for our 2 oldest kids' colleges. Stacy and her stepbrother Rick, 18. Both are good students, and while they haven't gotten their acceptance letters, I have no doubt that they'll get into good schools. My husband and I make enough money to live a middle-class lifestyle with 5 kids, but not enough to put them through college. The reality is that they'll have to take out school loans. We talked to them about loans, and this is when I found out that Stacy had already talked to her uncles and they're paying her tuition and the cost of living wherever she wants to go. This floored us and made my husband extremely mad. He got red and started to scream about how it wasn't fair. Stacy and Emily would go to expensive colleges and graduate with no loans, while our other kids will have to go to state schools and take out loans. He wanted me to call John and Jeff and tell them to stop spoiling the girls. On the one hand, I agree 100% with my husband that it's not fair to my other kids, but on the other hand, I can't hold my daughters back from something so wonderful. In the end, I told my husband I would not tell my ex-brother-in-laws to stop spoiling our daughters. Was I wrong to tell him that? Not the idiot. Your daughters shouldn't miss out on their paternal relatives just because your husband and the other children might be super jealous. Those other kids have something your oldest girls don't: their dad. You'd be a gigantic idiot if you were anything besides grateful for the generosity of your former husband's brothers towards your children. Your daughters will never ever forgive you if you sabotage their chance to graduate without debt, nor should they. That would be an incredibly cruel and spiteful thing to do to your children. And ironically, your husband's bitterness is making him short-sighted about the other kids' well-being. Having your girls' uncles assume the financial burden for their living expenses will free you up to help the other kids where you can. It's not fair. It's not fair that a grown man is having a temper tantrum. It's not fair that he's putting this on you. It's not fair that your daughter's dad is dead. But most of all, it's not fair that he sees the girls as having luxury when it's really just compensating for the loss of their father. If his kids suddenly came into some inheritance from the mother's side of the family, ask him if he would force them to share it with your girls. Everyone knows the answer here. It's not just the husband. Keep in mind that OP calls it spoiling. She's an idiot for thinking that all these years. OP, your wonderful husband, wants to hold back your daughters because he's jealous that their schooling will be paid for. That's messed up. It's also not your daughter's fault that he didn't start savings plans for his kids. That's on him. I, 29 female, have 2 kids, a young female and a toddler female. My husband works weekdays from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and after work, he normally goes out with the boys and normally gets home around 5 or 6. Here's how my typical day looks. I wake up at 6 a.m., make coffee and read a book. Then I do laundry, make breakfast, and work and school lunches. Wake my eldest at 7 a.m., get her ready for school. Wake my husband, wake my youngest, drive my daughter to school, then do the shopping, cleaning, making lunch, etc. Then I pick up my eldest from school and make dinner. I do everything every day, and when my husband gets home, he eats, watches TV, and falls asleep. I haven't had a full day to myself since my youngest was born. I really need a break from all this madness. Well, the other day my friend called and asked if I wanted to go have lunch with her, then go shopping and maybe go for a drink or two. I was extremely excited and couldn't wait to just chill for the first time in ages. So I told my husband, and he didn't seem to care that much, so I assumed it would be okay and he would watch the kids. Well, the day came, and as I was leaving, my husband stopped me and asked when the babysitter would be here. I told him there was no sitter and he'd have to watch them. He went insane on me and told me I couldn't just expect him to babysit while I go out and have a good time. He told me that unless I found someone to watch the girls, I couldn't go. We got into a huge fight and I called my sister to watch them. He's been giving me the silent treatment ever since and refusing to talk to me. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I'm laughing at the audacity, honestly. So he gets 2 to 3 hours daily with the boys and can't give you one weekend afternoon? Sorry, you don't have a husband. You have a boss, and he has a nanny/maid. That's not a marriage. I only have one reply here that isn't me calling your husband awful names, selfish, and a walking red flag. It's not babysitting when you're looking after your own children, moron. Man, what's with men not fathering their own kids? It sounds like you don't get to go out much, so he should be able to handle watching his own offspring from time to time without complaint. I hope you've got good support in your life, because he sounds lacking. This right here, I'd be livid, not only by calling it babysitting, but also because he refused to be a parent and spend time taking care of his own children. OP, I don't know how your relationship with your mother-in-law/in-laws and their opinions on childcare, but I'm petty enough to go to his mom and tell her how he refuses to take care of his kids for one afternoon so that I can decompress. My mother-in-law would tear my husband, her son, a new one if he ever did this to me. And my sister-in-law would be next in line to do so, waiting to get in on the action. Well, the chances are he acts this way because it's what he grew up with. OP, you absolutely deserve child-free time without guilt. Don't lose yourself because this man refuses to act like a dad. No one gets to tell you where you can and can't go. I hope things get better for you. You deserve better. My wife is currently 7 months pregnant and has had a rough pregnancy. She's also pretty emotional right now, which is to be expected. My mom's birthday's coming up, and I wanted to take her to dinner. My mom loves seafood and picked a restaurant that's about 40 minutes away. However, my wife is uncomfortable being in the car for long periods, and there isn't much on the menu she could eat, as she can't have shellfish. I explained this to my mom, and she said that my wife could stay home. I told her my wife is particularly sensitive right now, and that would make her feel bad. My mom got annoyed and asked if she had to pick something else because a grown woman couldn't be left home alone. I told her pregnancy isn't forever, and please just work with us. She said to forget it. She wants seafood, and all the good seafood restaurants are that far away. I asked her to pick another type of cuisine. She loves Mexican, and we hibachi, both of which we have local, but she yelled at me that her birthday wasn't about my wife. I accused her of being selfish and childish, and said my wife comes first, so she hung up. So now everyone is telling me that I'm an idiot, and my wife is in tears as the whole family's mad at her. You are the idiot. 40 minutes is not really a long drive, and your wife can either have fish, not shellfish, or something else, or stay home for a few hours. Usually when you're treating someone for their birthday, you do something that they want to do. Your mother's not out of line here. She could have been kinder, but you told her you were treating her to dinner, asked her to pick a restaurant, and then tried to make her change her birthday treat to suit your wife. Pregnancy's not a free pass to behave badly for either you or your wife. Pregnant women are advised not to eat shellfish, and cross-contamination is a huge issue in seafood restaurants if you can't have shellfish. Don't make it sound like a picky eater thing. OP is protecting both his wife and his unborn child here. Not the idiot, and I'm glad you're making a stand regarding your pregnant wife. I'm sorry to say that your mom sounds awful. Does she often behave like this when it comes to your wife? Agree. I had a hard pregnancy. 40 minutes in a car and another 40 back would have been literally torture at 7 months, like stabbing constant pain and misery. No big deal. Suck it up for the birthday girl, right? Pregnancy isn't a free pass. It's a medical condition that is frequently painful and sometimes dangerous. Reasonable, empathetic people understand that. The rest whine about not going to their preferred restaurant or tell women it's not really a long drive. Why can't his mother go to the seafood restaurant with her fiancé on her birthday and go to another restaurant with OP and his wife the night before, or extend the celebration? Why must everything be a fight? If the wife were vegan, would the mom still insist on going? To me, it seems yes.